Host, Jane Velez-Mitchell.
I am so honored and delighted to have some of my heroes on today. Two of the women you're looking at here face possible jail time for going in and exposing what is really happening inside pig factory farms. And I have to tell you, it is beyond comprehension. This is happening in Canada. 11 Canadians have been convicted after showing the video that you are looking at right now. If you're listening to this broadcast, take our word for it. It is just awful. Even the judge, when he was handing down the sentence, said it was disturbing and poignant. And so why are the whistleblowers, the people who went in there and videotaped this, convicted? Why is it such an upside down world that showing this imagery can get one arrested and locked up essentially, whereas they're the whistleblowers, they're the ones showing the world, doing the job that journalists should be doing but are not. And I mean, if you look at this, anybody with a conscience, anybody who even would consider eating the products of these animals, it's really something that's so shocking. So I want to go straight out to Jenny McQueen. Jenny, you are one of the 11. Tell us what happened. Tell us where you stand, because you were supposed to be sentenced and they've left you in legal limbo again by postponing your sentence.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having us on, and showing those videos. It makes me so sad still seeing what we saw inside. When you're sitting in front of a mother pig and you know that she's never going to get out of that gestation crate, apart from being artificially inseminated and then taken to the farrowing crate, then it's absolutely heartbreaking. We spent a lot of time in there. Seeing what you're showing online, and what you don't get to see is the smell, and the screams. You just don't experience that. So yes, we were supposed to be sentenced on Friday. We've been waiting over 3 years now, and the judge in Quebec is apparently overwhelmed, and he delayed our sentencing.
And so you're in legal limbo. You don't know what's going to happen. Natalie, how does that impact you emotionally as one of the defendants?
It's stressful, for sure. We hear that it might be happening next month, though, so hopefully it won't be too much longer to wait. But it's been a long 3.5 years. We never expected it would go on for this long. We never expected criminal charges for peaceful animal rights action, for whistleblowing, for 11 people who most of us have never done anything illegal before, and none of us have a criminal record. And I mean, we expected no more than trespassing, and we got breaking and entering, which is so strange. Breaking and entering, it's not supposed to be applicable unless you're on the premises to commit a crime. So what was our crime? We were just trying to expose an injustice. And they say our crime was mischief. What is mischievous about caring about what happens to animals? What is mischievous about peacefully entering a building to expose horrific animal abuse?
This is such disturbing video. If you're listening, I mean, you pigs drinking out of their own feces. This pig is coughing and coughing and coughing.
Video. Yes, I took that video. They were coughing. They had obvious respiratory distress because in this room, the air was so horrible. The moment I walked into that room, I couldn't breathe. I said to myself, I can't be in here. And that pig lived there all their life.
It's unbelievable. I mean, even the judge said that it was poignant and disturbing. So if the judge said it was poignant and disturbing, why punish the people who are showing this? Look at this. I mean, and I'm shocked. We've got a lot of callers who are just already coming in. Now, Voice America, is Joe on hold from Virginia Beach?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. Great show, and thanks for giving voice to the voiceless animals. I was literally shocked to hear the news that 40,000 pounds of pig slaughter products was recalled by Eastern Meat Solutions a Canadian importer due to improper inspection. So there's so much waste in this industry, and there is so much of diseases, and over 75% of all the emergent infectious diseases are coming from the animals. So is there an end in sight? Is there a change in heart in the government officials or these animal slaughter companies to switch from an animal base to a dustful plant-based system?
Very good question. Jenny, I'll throw that to you.
Yeah, huge amount of waste. And we have organizations in Canada who are working to swap subsidies from animal agriculture across to encourage these places to transform to growing plants. And especially, I mean, the Canada Food Guide was edited recently to include mostly plants. There's hardly any animal protein in there. So why are not governments taking all the research about how animal agriculture is wasteful, polluting, and absolutely nasty for the animals? And why aren't they transforming to a plant-based system? It blows my mind.
So I have to say that it was so disturbing, just even, oh my gosh, uploading these videos and looking at it. And I actually wanted to check with you guys twice before the air. I was like, can this be what you saw? And you were, yes, yes, yes. I mean, the level of feces, it's just beyond comprehension. I mean, I want to show this one photo here. I mean, oh my God. And the industry responded this way: Canada's animal welfare standards are among the highest in the world. Quebec pork breeders president said after viewing one of the whistleblower's videos, "I treat my pigs well," the facility owner told the court. Well, dear God, what is this? A whole bunch of piglet rotting carcasses. What is this? I mean, it's beyond comprehension. I can't even, and as Mick Davudian, who's watching, says, imagine if these were dogs, the entire Western Hemisphere would be there breaking down the doors. This is just a lit fire. We got another caller, Lindsay in Woodland Hills. Your question or thought for our panel?
I was just looking at the footage and got so sick to my stomach. I just had to go to the phone call where I'm not seeing the visual at the moment. But I'm just appalled. And what I'm recommending that everybody do along with me is take that quote and take that picture, take the quote from the official of their highest standards and take that picture and share it out on your social media, because that's what I plan to do. This is just horrific. Thank you for listening to my rant.
And these people could be going to jail for showing the world, Lindsay.
Yeah. How insane. How insane have we become?
Great question. I want to go out to one of the attorneys who is representing one of the defendants. And remember, there are 11 defendants. I'm going to show you a picture of them right now. 11 defendants, okay? 11 people. And for many of them, it was their first animal rights event. And now they are convicted criminals. Chloe Surprenant, a defense attorney, what is the defense that you offered aside from, oh my God, we showed this horror and we should be given an award, not sent to prison or convicted or have something on our record for the rest of our lives? What was your defense in court?
So there were two major arguments that we bring to the judge. The first one is because when you're charged with breaking and entering, the Crown have to prove that you commit a crime, you had the intention of committing a crime. So one of this, and in our case, we argued that the activists didn't commit any crime. So the crime in question that the Crown argued was mischief. But in our case, we said to the judge, there was no mischief. So that was our first argument. And the second one, we told the judge that the activists went on the farm to take pictures and video and informations, and after to communicate them to the public. So there is a defense in the criminal code about that, and we try to put this argument on the trial.
I mean, if you look at this, these pigs covered in their own feces and ankle deep in sewer water, you gotta wonder, how could this impact human health? Jenny McQueen, after you did, take us through what you actually did. Take us through the actual action, and direct action everywhere was part of this, as well as Rose's Law. We'll talk about Rose's Law in a second, but lay it out for us. What happened?
Okay, so a bunch of us were entering this facility in the early hours of the morning. It was dark. We didn't break anything. We entered inside and we toured the entire place. We took video. We live streamed inside while we were there. A few of us live streamed. And we all know, or we all should know, that pigs are extremely clean individuals. You know, they poop and they pee in another place if they're given the chance. And then they make themselves comfortable in straw. So what we saw inside, we were horrified. We were absolutely horrified. I mean, the police arrested us in the area where the gestation crates were. And I just wish that we'd been able to sit on the ground and occupy one of the areas that you've shown in the photos. The area that was absolutely, you know, caked in feces. But there was no way that we could do that. And so even the police didn't get to see the areas that we saw. I mean, you can see on the screen, you're showing the video that I took, you know, sections where babies were being fattened in boxes, and the boxes were covered in feces, were smeared. And then what we witnessed, you know, like decaying electrics, maggots, rodents. And after we'd finished, like we'd been arrested, and, you know, in the days later, we then reported what we'd seen to the authorities, to the fire marshal, to the electrical safety authority, and to the government, to the animal, you know, let's put air quotes in this, animal protection government ministry. And then following that, the government made an extremely rare visit, and they actually confirmed everything we'd seen, and they issued a fail report to this facility.
And apparently the people who are running it are no longer running it, but we don't know that whether it was completely shut down, because you have some kind of injunction against you. You can't even approach that area to ask on public property, are there still pigs in there? I find that absolutely mind-blowing and horrific. We've got another caller, Jamie from Los Angeles. Your question or thought for our panel?
Hi, guys. This is absolutely insane. I am so honored to know you all, and I just love the work that you're doing. I think actions like this are essential to furthering our movement. You know, when I think about what made me go vegan, it was seeing videos like this. So my question for you guys is, how can someone that's new to activism, or somebody that may not know so much about laws, how can they begin learning about how to get more involved and do more actions like this? How do we train and prep for going into factory farms?
And I'll throw that back to Jenny, because you're one of the leaders in the Canadian animal rights movement. You do so many actions.
Absolutely. I would suggest checking out directactioneverywhere.com, and there's details on open rescue. And from within there are individuals within our organization, DXC, that can advise on training. And people can actually message me too. We have trainings, we did have trainings here. It makes it a little bit awkward. You need to find out if your state or if your province has got ag-gag laws. You need to check out and have yourself a lawyer too. that you can phone if you do get arrested, and you need to be thinking about biohazard gear. There's quite a few different aspects to this, but it's so important to actually be able to go and expose these awful places, you know, where animals are just used and abused for their flesh. And especially, I mean, we know now that we don't even need to eat animals. I mean, what is this all about?
It's so crazy. And it's the most, I mean, I am a vegan, and you know what? Just like MSNBC and Fox News have viewpoints, we have a viewpoint here at Unchained TV that animals are not objects and you can't do whatever you want with them. And they are sentient beings who deserve rights. Indeed, they deserve habeas corpus, in my opinion. And there are organizations like the Non-Human Rights Project fighting to get animals habeas corpus, which means you can't just stick somebody in a prison. And even if they're an animal, just leave them there because they're considered property. And while that habeas corpus battle has been happening in the courts over an elephant, you certainly know that what's happening to these animals is the ultimate imprisonment. I mean, who would say that it's okay to keep pigs in a crate the size of their bodies, never able to turn around? Look at the bars on either side. And pigs are considered the fifth most intelligent animal. So I can't even imagine a world where this is okay. And then additionally, when these folks go in there to document it, 11 people, there are the defendants, the Montreal 11, and they're arrested. They're charged with breaking and entering and obstructing a police officer. Now, that was another thing. All of you, according to what you've said, never obstructed a police officer. You just went limp. Can you talk about that a little bit, Natalie, as one of the defendants?
Yes, I can. So they said that we obstructed a police officer because we did not leave the moment that they asked us to. The reason we don't leave the moment that they asked us to is because we had one demand, and that was for media to come in and film the premises, the condition of what the pigs were going through. As soon as our demand was denied, we were ready to go. We were ready to leave the premises, but they took a very long time organizing themselves to arrest us. And unfortunately, they have now sort of skewed that fact and said that we were obstructing justice by refusing to leave.
So what I don't get is that the judge actually said certain sympathetic things. Chloe, you're one of the attorneys. Look at this. I'm sorry. I can't even. There are no words. Look at that. There's pigs back there. Look at that filth. And this is what they said. And by the way, we invite anybody, the owner or former owner, the Quebec Pork Breeders Association, which said Canada's animal welfare standards are among the highest in the world. And the owner told the court, I treat my pigs well. Is this treating your pigs well? I mean, look at that face. That animal long gone, presumably dead. But I mean, dear God, I just, you know, who are we as a species that this is not causing global outrage, but then additionally, the people who showed this are arrested and convicted. And where does it stand now? This happened in 2019. Where does it stand? You were supposed to go to court in 2 days. That's why we arranged an interview. And then they just postponed it at the last minute. Chloe, as one of the attorneys, talk to us about all of this.
The postponing, I don't have the reason, and because we don't have the new date yet, and I prefer not commenting on that. But yeah, the images are horrific, and it brings me to another problem, because charging people for breaking and entering, and it's a thing, but charging farmers for cruelty, it's another thing. And here in Quebec, we don't have good animal protection laws. That's a big problem to me. We need to have more protections and not only voluntary codes of practices.
It's unbelievable. I just, you know, every time it seems that there is an undercover investigation or an action like this one involving direct action everywhere, but there were various groups involved. I know Rose's Law, we're going to get to that in a second. It seems like they find the same thing, always the same thing. Now, I have to ask, what about the media attention? Presumably, one of the main reasons you did this, and you said this in your live stream. I mean, this is the other thing. If they were there to commit a crime, what criminal live streams their own operation to essentially alert the authorities, this is what's happening now, come get me? But you demanded, Jenny, that the media come and show this. Now, we know one of the reasons I started Unchained TV, the world's only nonprofit streaming network for the vegan lifestyle, is because the reality doesn't get on mainstream TV. Why? Because look at the advertisers, dairy and pharmaceuticals, the very industries that are doing this. So they don't cover it. But sometimes things are just so bad and there's such a horror that they're essentially forced to cover it. What kind of media coverage did this action get, Jenny?
We've had quite a few of the French media take it up and cover it, but the frustrating thing is that they will slant it towards, the upset that we caused the family, or the pictures that they'll include as part of the article are stock images where the pigs are clean and happy looking and looking out at the camera. We've struggled to get English media to pick it up. There's a few articles, really good articles, but we've really had to push and even know people within industry to encourage them to write about it. So the National Observer in Canada has written one really good article, but then we do media releases all the time and we really struggle to get any coverage at all. And yet it's something that should concern every single person who thinks it's okay to still eat animals.
It truly is disturbing. And again, one of the reasons why we started our nonprofit global streaming network, Unchained TV, is that now it empowers people. You could take this video, whether you're watching on our streaming app on television, whether you're watching on your phone, whether you're watching it online, whether you're watching it on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitter, or on any of the platforms that we cross post to, you can share this out and let people know that this is happening. Because I can't imagine anybody seeing this video, anybody, for even a second and saying, oh, this is okay, I'm going to go out and have a ham sandwich. Because ultimately, this is a consumer issue. If consumers didn't buy hot dogs and frankfurters, well, those are the same thing. That's now you know I'm a vegan because I don't even know hot dogs, ham, deli slices, and by the way, processed meat, which is how most pigs are consumed in the form of deli slices, bacon, and hot dogs. It's officially cancer causing, according to the World Health Organization. So, Natalie, you have that too. You have the fact that while this is all happening, it's terribly bad for human health.
Absolutely, it is. And we should be listening to, our government who is telling us to consume less animal products or potentially no animal products. And we should be listening to cancer.org, who does list processed meat as a group 1 cancer-causing carcinogen. But for me, it's about the animals. For me, it's about suffering. I mean, why are we doing this to them if we know that we don't need to eat animals to survive, which we've known for a while? Why are we still doing this to them? It's completely unjustified.
Yeah. And, this is one of the epic struggles of our time. I do believe that animal agriculture is the social justice movement of our time because it covers so much: world hunger, climate change, habitat destruction, wildlife extinction. We've got a caller, Adita in New York City. Your question or thought for our panel of activists and their attorney. Adita.
Hi there. Hi, Jane. Hi, Jenny and everyone. I'm calling from New York City. It's so heartbreaking listening to all this. Just want you to know that the activist community in New York City is supporting you. This is a terrible injustice. And we just want to thank you for your bravery and for all you've done. And that's really just what I wanted to say. It's just a terrible, terrible situation, but none of us are ever going to give up, even when these injustices are happening. And, you know, we're going to keep going forward even harder.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Does the support mean a lot to you? I mean, look, I've been involved in covering this as a journalist for decades now. I have never been arrested. I don't know what that would be like. I've been to jails to do stories many times, and I know how horrific it is. I mean, let's just talk a little bit about what you're going through emotionally, Natalie. I mean, you are an upstanding citizen. I read your bio. You've never done anything like this in your entire life.
No, I haven't. And 3 days after the criminal trial, I started to feel a little strange on my head. And it turned out that I had to go to the emergency room because I had contracted shingles from the stress of having a criminal trial. I never expected it would go that far. That doesn't mean that I regret what I was part of. I could never regret any peaceful action that I have taken for animals. And I said that straight to the judge when I testified at the sentencing hearing. But it has been extremely emotional, that's for sure. But it's nothing compared to what the animals go through. Absolutely nothing.
Oh my gosh. Well, heroes all. We actually are going to take a very short break on Voice America Radio, but we are staying live on Unchained TV, our streaming network. So I would urge everybody, we're going to take a short break. Download the app. You can download it on your phone for free. And you can download it on your TV for free, and you can watch it for free on UnchainedTV.com. Unchained TV. You literally go to your app store, and it takes 1 second. This is streaming on there now, along with more than well over 1,500 videos that really tell the story of there's a solution to most of the world's problems, and we just have to stop killing, and that includes animals. Stay right there. We'll be right back. All right. Thank you. We are still going live on all of our other platforms. Jenny, you know, we heard Natalie's stress, but you are a seasoned activist. You've been arrested many times, never for anything like shoplifting or mugging, but always for animal activism. But it's got to be a little nerve-wracking for you too, right?
Well, you know, I don't want to go to jail, put it that way. And it's kind of unlikely that we will, very unlikely, but I also don't want a criminal record. I mean, all the actions that I've done over the years have been non-violent, been peaceful, and been for a social justice movement, which is what I view animal rights as. So, yeah, I mean, I was recently denied entry to the US because of my activism. And, you know, to consider how we're being treated as just, you know, people who are concerned about animals and want to expose the realities is really troubling. And what does it say about our society?
Absolutely. And Mick Davudian has a comment here I want to get to in a second. He's saying, if you're upset about this, if you're feeling hopeless, come to the Animal Liberation Conference and you will be empowered by thousands of like-minded humans. Unchained TV will be going live at the Animal Liberation Conference, and that's coming up in the June 10th window, but it's like a 4-day event, and it's really fascinating. I've attended several times now, and it is totally empowering, and there's trainings and there's marches and there's rallies, and it's really, really incredible. So check that out. Basically, liberationconference.com. All right. We're going to come back right now to Voice America Radio, which is one of the world's largest internet radio establishments. So we're going out on Spotify, iTunes, and all sorts of other platforms to get the word out. We thank Voice America Radio for giving us the opportunity to talk about this, since so much mainstream media suppresses it.
You are listening to Unchained TV. To reach the show today, call in to 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email in to jane@unchainedtv.com. Now back to the show.
Hello, everybody. We're talking to 2 of the 11 heroes, plus their attorney, who's the lady at the top of the screen. 11 Canadians in all convicted after just going into a pig farm and videotaping. That's all they did. They were live streaming. They went in. I'm going to show you the video while we talk. It's horrific. Even the judge said it was disturbing and poignant, he said, because obviously these animals are so miserable. I mean, look, imagine living in a cage the size of your body, a dirty cage, never able to turn around. Your ear's been stapled with some kind of tag. You're filthy. I mean, this is torture. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is just torture. It is beneath us as a society. And we invite anybody from the pig industry on anytime. But I will say, I have to read their statement because it's kind of shocking in light of the video. Canada's animal welfare standards are among the highest in the world, Quebec pork breeders president said after viewing one of the whistleblower's videos. Quote, "I treat my pigs well," end quote, the owner told the court. So there's a huge disconnect here. We've got some callers, though. Let's go to Annie in Sherman Oaks. Your question for our panel.
Oh, hi. Yes. First of all, I want to say thank you for the show, Jane, as always. Jenny, oh my gosh, you're so incredible. The things you do, you're such a hero. All of you, we are here in California propping with you. One of the things I want to ask, the frustrating thing as a fellow activist, if there's no activist, there's no healing, there's no solution. Yet the power falls so much with the animal agriculture. Even like Facebook posts that I post, oftentimes I find they block it. What other ways can we amplify besides, of course, Unchained TV, the incredible Unchained TV with Jane? It gets frustrating because you are justice heroes. You didn't do anything. You're peace warriors. Love you and sending you all the love and support. But we want to amplify your voice that everybody in the world should start, breaking out like what is going on. We're supposed to give them honor, these heroes, not try to punish them and put false accusations by the police, by the animal agriculture. This is very frustrating. Annie. So I'd like to know what encouragement, what words, what things that you can give me directions. Love you all. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So Jenny, what directions, if people aren't up to basically facing possible prison time and a criminal record by doing what you did here, live streaming your entry into this hellhole, sorry, that's how I feel about it. And I invite anybody from the pork industry on any time to discuss it. But what else can they do?
Well, just even getting active on social media. I posted a nice little notice that people can hold up. Compassion for animals is not a crime. I support the Poor Greg activists, and posting something like that on social media, but also writing to mainstream media. You can write letters to the editor. You can tell people about the injustices that animals are facing in your part of the world too. I mean, this happens across the United States, across the world, across Canada. Letting people know what happens. Going to a supermarket and doing a demonstration. You can stand in front of the, air quote, meat aisle, and you can tell people exactly what happens to pigs inside these nasty places. There's so many ways that you can take action.
Yes. Okay. We've got yet another caller. Boy, people are interested in this subject today. Michael in Los Angeles, your question or thought for our panel.
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just want to thank all the defendants in this unjust trial. I'm in California, and my question is, I just wondered, what can we do to help support all of you in this trial? Can we write letters to the judge? What can we do to help? Thank you.
I would like to jump in as well and say, somebody commented about Justin Trudeau, the head of your country. What about contacting him? What about a campaign to contact him? I mean, you see him all the time on the international stage looking all dressed up and sharp and handsome. and conveying that Canada is this fabulous place where everything is done properly. I mean, that's got to be shame producing for him. Jenny, Natalie?
I would welcome letters to Justin Trudeau. The industry is the one that gives out standards for pig farming, for chicken farming. There's no actual laws within, you know, air quote farms. They're not farms, they're factories. So I would welcome any campaign towards Justin Trudeau and tell him, even though we don't believe in the use and abuse of animals for food, you know, why are gestation crates still in Canada? Canada has some of the worst abuses I've seen for animals. Honestly, as you say, Jane, people think that Canada is a very kind country. You know, that Canadians say, "Oh, sorry for everything that they do," but you know, the hidden abuses behind doors is just the same as any country.
Now, Anne Shaughnessy has commented. She said, "I've had PTSD ever since I went into that hellhole." Presumably, she's one of the defendants.
Yes.
Natalie, can you tell us a little bit about the PTSD effect? Because I'm having PTSD from just uploading it today and looking at that video, which I had to edit. And, you know, it just, every cell in my body shrinks when I stare at that. Thanks for looking to the camera.
Yes. Thank you, Jane. Being in there with them is like being in hell on earth. And it's one thing to see it in the images, but it's another thing to be looking into their eyes and having them look into yours, and they're looking to you for help. And some of them are really suffering, and all we could do was film. We couldn't help any of them, and to have to leave them all behind is very emotional. And they're all gone now. There were 4,000 pigs at this farm, and all of them are now dead. And it's just heartbreaking that we couldn't really help them. We're doing what we can to try to tell their stories, but it's definitely so haunting to think about even the few hours we spent in there with them. I can't imagine what it's like to be them, and why would we ever want to be a society that does this to innocent sentient beings? We're supposed to be these evolved, intelligent, you know, beings, and yet we are so selfish. We are so short-sighted. We are so greedy. We are so evil sometimes. And I have to be hopeful that we're getting better as a society and as a species. And, you know, the animal rights community gives me a lot of that hope. Being part of this movement gives me a lot of that hope. You know, no evil can last forever. So we have to just keep exposing these places and doing activism, either legally or illegally, whatever you're comfortable with. And hopefully one day we will be able to look back and say we did our best to end this horrible atrocity.
And, you know, what's also true is that while this is happening and these animals are suffering, people are suffering. As I mentioned, most of the products that are from pork, from pigs, are cancer causing. Processed meat is officially, according to the World Health Organization, cancer causing. And then it's very high in terms of its carbon footprint. And so it's contributing to climate change. We've got another caller, Michelle in Los Angeles. Your question or thought for our panel. Michelle?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, hi.
Yes.
Thank you for all you do. This is so horrific. I went to my first pig vigil and I was traumatized. Natalie, Jenny, everyone, Jane, one thing that hasn't been brought up is when you're in this place, it's the smells too. It's not just what you see. The whole thing is a hellscape. Can you comment on that and your other senses and how you felt going through there?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Jenny, take that one. Or both of you.
Yeah, you can barely breathe. The ammonia and the dust in the air, which is, you know, like particles of skin, particles of feces. You know, it catches your breath. Your eyes are streaming. You know, your nose is running, and you basically feel ill while you're inside. And we know that pigs have got really sensitive senses themselves. And that's the other heartbreaking thing, that they're stuck inside this place, you know, and they're being assailed. All their senses are being attacked. And they're screaming, and you're sitting in front of, I mean, for me, when we're talking about the emotional toll, I was sitting in front of individuals in front of me, mother pigs. I named one of them Bella, and you know, I'd make contact with her, and I'd touch her snout, and then when the police came, they stood in front of us. They wouldn't even let us give comfort to the pigs. And you know, when I think back, you know, it makes me sob when you know, I just about hold myself together, but you know, it's so upsetting what these animals have to go through.
I remember the screams too. Yeah, in the gestation room, they would I'm not sure what the time interval was, but they would just start all screaming at the top of their lungs, thrashing against the bars, foaming at the mouth, just doing everything they can to try to get out of those cages. And it was absolutely horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
I just, you know, I have to think, they say, you know, the moral arc of the universe is slow, but it bends toward justice. But with the fast growing human population, even though we have a whole revolution offering plant-based, we still have globally an increase in meat consumption. And it's very troubling. I do believe in the law of unintended consequences. I believe ultimately nature will do for us what we're not doing for ourselves. Due to increased extreme weather from climate change, we are seeing in the summer, it is getting ever more difficult to do factory farming. The price of hay is going up. In Kansas, we saw a TikTok video of thousands of cows that were dead on the side of the road, dying from heat and drought. In the wintertime, the extreme weather is causing animals to die en masse. So I believe that combined with the rise of not just plant-based meat, but meat from fungi, which is mushrooms essentially, which is not a plant, it's its own species, as well as what you might call clean meat, animal-free meat. Some would call it cell-based meat. I don't use that term. I use cultured meat. That's going to reduce, for those who must have their pound of flesh no matter what, and we all know those people, that's going to reduce the number of animals used. And I was just at the Vegan Women's Summit, and they were serving cultured meat there. I didn't try it, but I interviewed the woman who was there representing that company. There's numerous companies in the development stage, but it's already been tried in Singapore, cultured chicken, and it's moving forward on a regulatory basis here in the United States. And I don't know how everybody feels about it. There are some vegans, for example, who don't approve of it, but I'm all for it. Whatever is going to stop this hell, whatever is going to stop this terrible, 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 just blight on humanity, I'm all for it. And, you know, I want to talk about Rose's Law, because that was, along with Direct Action Everywhere, that was another part. So talk to us, Jenny, about Rose's Law and what does it mean?
Absolutely. Rose's Law was created after an action that Direct Action Everywhere took, where one individual chicken, Rose, you can read about it, that there's a whole story about her. But Rose's Law is about an animal bill of rights, where there's 5 different asks in there, you know, the right to rescue, the right to a secure home or habitat, the right to be represented in the law. Check out the website, roseslaw.org. It's extremely friendly, it's extremely logical. And, you know, we take actions for Rose's Law, you know, around the country.
So where does it stand? You were supposed to go to court the day after tomorrow. You're all ready for it. And my gosh, you know, when somebody changes a lunch date, it kind of changes your schedule. But you've been waiting for this moment since you were convicted, and indeed waiting for this closure since you did this in 2019. I mean, my gosh, Chloe, the wheels of justice are turning so slowly. We knew that happened here in the United States, but in Canada too.
Yeah, it's a big thing here now in Quebec. The delay are very long, and we don't have enough judges. Every kind of problems, but like there is something for the defendants when there is too much delay that we can do. I don't think in this case it's possible, but yeah, so it happens in United States, it happens in here too.
Yeah. So you think that you're going to not get jail time, Jenny? Why is that? Considering that they added on a charge of obstruction of police, even though you had said all you did was go limp. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. You never know how you're going to react when the police come and when they want you to exit. Some of us got up and were walked out by police. I found myself screaming, it's not food, it's violence. And, 4 police officers took me out. I went limp. And we didn't expect to have that extra charge, obstructing a police officer. It's a really quite serious charge. And I still think that even though I'm being told that it's very unlikely that we'll end up in jail, if the judge really wanted to make an example with those of us who've got prior records. I mean, I'm on a peace bond. Another defendant is on a peace bond too from their actions with animal rights. Then, I hate to think about it, but activists in Canada are being sentenced to custodial time. We have Amy Serrano on the West Coast in Canada for her action occupying a pig facility too.
Unbelievable. And I know the attorney, Chloe Supra-Nant, I hope I pronounced it right. You want to make a statement about what's going on here and the situation in Quebec specifically.
Yeah, because I saw a question in the comments about why did the police didn't file a report for abuse. I have an answer for that. It's because animal protections in Quebec are very bad. They are low. We adopted a bill in 2015, and in that bill, at the section 7, it says that if farmers operates their farm with in compliance of common practices, they are not obligated to follow the main protection of this law. So this for me is a big problem. The answer for this question is the police didn't find a report because the things we saw in the images, I think it's legal, and that's a big problem.
Well, I'm getting 2 stories, and this is important that we clarify this before, we wrap up, is that I read one article you mentioned, I think the National Observer, and that was an opinion piece that said there's really no protection for these animals. It's voluntary compliance. But then I read another article that said that there are rules against animal abuse and animal torture in Canada. So I read 2 conflicting reports, Jenny.
Right. I can address that. When we go inside these places, a lot of the things that we see are industry standards, such as gestation crates, such as, animals being altered, tails cut off without anesthesia, etc. When I did a pig investigation in another province, then I found a pig with a massive prolapse who was being kept, for her babies to be slashed away, and then she was going to be killed. And it was very specific. I was able to then report that to the authorities. A lawyer advised me that, yes, that is animal cruelty. So it's a really fine line between what is industry standard and what you can actually report as being animal cruelty. And it's the most egregious things that you see, which you can report.
It's unbelievable. And again, you're looking at one of the headlines, animal activists who occupied Quebec pig farm found guilty of breaking and entering. And then they added a charge of obstruction of police, even though there weren't any fights. The most that they did, you just heard it from Jenny, was go limp. And it's just, sometimes I feel embarrassed to be a human being. Sometimes I feel really, really embarrassed to be a human being. Yes, Lindsay Baker says, please share this video out. You can share it off of Unchained TV, the global streaming network that you can download on your phone or on your TV. You can also watch it online at UnchainedTV.com. Just click watch now. And you can also share this out from Facebook if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or even Twitter. We are live on Twitter as well. But the point of this is that this should be the front page of every mainstream news organization. It impacts so much. It's absolute torture. You can take one look at it and it speaks for itself. The video speaks for itself. The photographs speak for themselves. And it affects human health. Processed meat, which is how most pig products are consumed, is officially cancer-causing, according to the World Health Organization. It affects climate change because pig products, meat products, are right up there very high in terms of their carbon price tag, and animal agriculture is a leading cause of climate change. Some say it's the leading cause, but everybody agrees it's a leading cause of climate change. And it's also a cause of habitat destruction, wildlife extinction, human world hunger, because we're feeding so much of this food to these animals where children are dying of malnutrition and hunger somewhere else, and we could feed the food directly to them. And all of this, and despite all of this, who gets arrested and prosecuted and convicted? The people who point it out. There is something really fundamentally wrong with that. We only have 2 minutes left. Final thoughts from each one of you. Let's start with Chloe.
We need better protections for animals in law, and we need to stop exploiting them.
All right, Natalie.
If you are not vegan, you should be vegan. If you are not vegan, excuse me, let me start again. If you are not vegan, you should be vegan. If you are vegan, you should be an activist, because we need so many more people in this movement. Even if you're not comfortable doing illegal actions, there are so many legal ways to speak up for animals and to make a difference. And we need each other. We have so much against us.
And yeah, as Lindsay Baker says, so easy to find alternatives. There's benevolent bacon. There's products now that taste just like these that aren't cancer causing. Jenny, you have the final thought.
Yeah, we care about humans too, not just animals. Think about the workers, the underprivileged, the immigrants who have to work in these places. It's an absolute crime that people are expected to clean up, to breathe the air. So these places need to be completely shut down.
I just want to say, you women are my heroes. We'll stay Unchained TV. We'll stay on top of this story. Please let us know when your sentencing is, and we will go live. And everybody, if this upsets you, take action. Write to Pierre Trudeau. Write to other leaders in Quebec and get involved. And come to the ALC conference and download Unchained TV. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. See you next time.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great.